Hello, welcome to part 3 with Sarah the Pivoter. Today, we run over some more of our conversation and close it out. If you're interested in anything that Sarah has, you will find a link below. That link opens up into a whole page where you can follow her on several different platforms that she provides. Also, direct link to her website and some free information. Take advantage of this. She is an incredible lady, and I hope you enjoy. Don't forget, empower your life's quest. Oh, for sure. I definitely find that, in any learning environment, if you're just staring at a book and going line by line, it's like your brain can only absorb so much of that because it's, even the best learner in that sense is still might not get the same type of lesson that someone else just hears a story about another experience. So like these people's experiences can be ahas for us. And I've had tons and tons of them. And it's my absolute favorite thing. I love stories because stories are the lessons of life.
Think about a campfire, right? When we are all sitting around a campfire, there's something really primal about fire. But when we're all around a campfire and there's that soft glow and it's dark, but there's light, right? What happens? The most vulnerable stories come out and people share and they connect. And it's through the stories that they share that they're connecting. It's not the like, oh, look at me, I won this award, or I got this bonus, or I bought this house. No, none of that even matters anymore. We get into the real, deep and meaningful stuff that makes us human, that makes us grow and evolve and seek out these experiences. And so that's what I aim at doing, is creating that campfire experience so that it's this safe space for people to explore new ways of being, right? Allowing them to try on new beliefs, new thought systems. Like you might try on a hat at a shop, like, oh, does this one look good? Do I feel good in this one? Let me try it out for a little bit, right? And it's within this container that we can have real powerful movement and growth, and then from that fire be like a phoenix, right? And we can transform what our old stories were into something new and use that as the fuel for the new direction.
Yeah, that's so funny that you're like saying it like this, because I had a conversation with somebody earlier, and it's almost like it feels almost like going into your group and working with these. It's like you can take your mask off, like your proverbial mask off, and like show your authentic self. And we talked about this earlier, is like everybody has this idea of what other people want to hear and see out of you.
Yes.
But then you finally take the mask off and it's like people start gravitating towards you, so you're no longer chasing. And it just kind of reminds me of that same type of scenario. You're sitting around the campfire and you like pull it off and you're like, all right, like here's my authentic self. And then everybody's like, oh, attracted to you. And it's just like a whole new dynamic. It's brilliant. So when you do your course, do you specifically target career pivots, or do you do other types of pivots? Because I've dabbled through your Facebook group a couple of times, and I noticed that at least in your description, you kind of focus on the career aspect of it, because you have a lot of experience in that, obviously. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because you want to help everyone, right? And so I do attract people that are not necessarily going through a career pivot and they're going through some other major life transition. But I do focus in on the career aspect. Career and life, work-life balance to me is a completely inane term. It's just ridiculous because they support each other. They are integrated. There's no such thing as balance, because balance implies 50-50. And life includes a lot more than 50% work, especially if you're not looking at it in the context of, I go to this place and I get a paycheck and then I clock out, right? What else is work? How do you define work? Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's work around the house. Maybe it's work in your family, on the relationships, on the communication. So I really play with the definitions of all words. And I look at the etymology of these words so that we can uncover what are the root beliefs that you have and what are the stories that you've had since your upbringing. Because we've all been programmed by our parents, by society, by schools to believe and think a certain way so that we can fit into society, right? And this is very often why when you look at international organizations, why are there expats? Why do we have people from around the world working in a different country? Well, they offer a fresh perspective, and they allow work to be done in a different way, and they act as the bridge maybe between that other country that the national country wants to do business with, right? So this expat comes over, helps communicate locally so that they can connect better, right? And so that's ultimately what we're doing here as well. So I focus on the career aspect because, hey, we got to put food on the table, right? And we should not be waking up going, oh, I have to go to work today. Now, not every day is going to be like, yes, I get to go to work and I get to do all this stuff. Yay, go me, right? Like sometimes you just want to sit on the couch and watch TV, or you want to go surf, or you want to sit there and pick your nose. I don't know. It's just sometimes we don't really want to go and do something, right? But ultimately, it's about finding that fulfillment for you. Like, where can you work? What industry really lights you up? Maybe you don't have to be a pilot, for example, to really enjoy the aviation industry. So that was me. I thought flying a plane was boring. Like after 20 minutes, I was like, okay, now what? Like, okay, great. And so I realized, hey, I don't actually have to sit in the cockpit to be around it. So I got to satisfy that excitement and that, feeling of flight and being around it, but by doing something different on the ground. And so where does that lie for you? How can you take your skills and your experience, all your know-how, and transfer that into something that has more meaning for you? A lot of my clients are coming to me because they've achieved success in a traditional metric. They've made money, they've got the titles, they've won awards, right? They were the provider for their family, and they're so wrapped up in this identity that they don't know who else they can be. But they know that this one doesn't feel good anymore. They don't want to do it. But the breadth of options, particularly now with online work, the working online environment, new industries emerging, there's just so much choice. And then there's the fear of, oh, can I get on board with that technology? Oh, can I do this? Can I do that? So really looking at how do we look at those foundational skills that this person has, using their stories and experience, and then applying it to a new area. And so through that, clarity, when we uncover some of these jewels, we can start to test, we can start to refine what's working well, what could be improved. These are the two core things I always ask my clients to reflect on. I do it myself every week. I sit down and I look at the previous week so that I can map out the next one using those two questions. And then, we start to pivot into these different areas. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I made 6 figures doing this for 30 years. If I start over, I won't make that much money. Maybe not right away. Maybe you'll make more. Maybe you will have more time. Time is a currency. Sure. Maybe your health will improve. Health is a currency. So understanding what are the currency metrics and success metrics for yourself so that you can design your life through your career. And then from there, you are choosing, you're the active creator, rather than defaulting to, well, I've always done it this way, so I must do it this way, right? That's very old management, industrial era style thinking.
Very true. Yeah, it's funny. I've posed that question to my friends, all my friends, and I'm like, if money wasn't an object, if you had all the money you could ever satisfy you, what would you do? And not a single one of them has been like, what I'm doing now. It's just a crazy question. So it reminded me of the book in The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, if you've heard of it.
I love him, yes.
Yeah, so he's talking about the finite mind versus the infinite. And it's like, can you get behind whatever it is you're doing? Can you get behind your job? Does it fulfill you? It might not fulfill you on a day-to-day basis, but it fulfills the ultimate goal, like who you are, what you're doing. Like, and that's just a huge problem. Like, especially, I'm not super familiar with all the metrics around the world, but I know in America, I don't know many people that are like really genuinely happy and fulfilled in their jobs.
Right. I don't know that many.
Yeah. I could probably count them on one hand. So it's not like people are giving up everything. It's just an exchange of energy. Yeah. You're giving up money energy for life energy or health energy or currency, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's essentially all the same. But that's awesome. So
understanding, for you as well, what are you actually focusing on? Because as you said, there's the reel going around where it's like not all day, every day, but every day, right? So it's this concept that we think we need to be happy all the time. We shouldn't feel anything else. We shouldn't, we should just always be in this, everything is awesome, Legoland style experience. But that's not real life. That's toxic positivity. That's just a pendulum swing from the other thing, right? And we spiritually bypass. But what we need to really reel back the dial and look at is it really that bad? Everywhere you go will have pros and cons. If you don't know what your limit is, if you don't know what you don't want so you can weed it out, and you don't know what you do want so you can cultivate it, you will always find something to complain about. You will always blame external circumstances, and it will always be woe is me, man against the machine.
Yeah, definitely living. I'm also reading Power versus Force right now, and yes, living in the force. The force is the negative emotions. That's your anger, frustration, that's complaining, it's grief, it's shame, it's all these things. And it's something that cannot be sustained. It can only slingshot. It can only create momentum to move you to that positive. So I love what you're saying. I totally agree with it. It's beautiful. I really, really enjoy it. Yeah.
And that book you just mentioned, Power versus Force, I really love that book. And I also like to play with that because I love Star Wars, as you know. And so, we talk about the Force in Star Wars, but in a different way. So instead of using force as in like brute force, right? And those, what we kind of deem the negative emotions, which, they work. As you said, they slingshot you, but you don't maintain momentum. It's not something you can do forever. How do we then understand what these forces are so that we can put systems in place to harness it, right? And allow it to generate, to grow and to be supported, rather than like putting it in a blaster gun and I need to use it to kill you. I can have this like ball of energy that is just infinite and just continues to provide that energy, right? So, I'm going to throw in a lot of geeky stuff like that.
No, I love it. And it's so cool how you can tie it in like that. And not only that, like I found that a lot of people like to tie in ideas, thoughts, concepts, movies, etc., etc. And then they're just like, oh, well, I like Captain America, so Captain America is my theme. And I'm like, okay, well, what about him? Well, he's confidence and he stands for good and this. And I'm like, but like, what else?
Yeah.
Like, what else is it? And like, I like that you've thought of this. Like, it's not just, I like Star Wars, so Star Wars is my theme. Like, there is layers and layers within everything that you do. So it just shows some of the complexity that you put behind especially the thought of your program. And I love it because it also represents the people that you use too. Like there's tons and tons of layers. Some people haven't uncovered all those layers. Some people have. Some people are working. Some people are digging. Some people are. But it's really cool. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this. It's really awesome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. So I am pressed for questions right now. So was there anything else that you wanted to share?
If anyone would like to connect, then, please find me on Facebook. I'm Sarah the Pivoter. You can Google that, or Sarah Calmetta, and you can also connect with me on Instagram. You can catch the PivotCast episodes, which I'm also going to be having Brent on the show in a few weeks' time. I know we schedule that as well. So I do interviews, and we talk about super rad things, how to pivot, people's stories of how they've pivoted. And it's just a real fun space to come and play. And if you'd like to learn more about the Success Program, you can always shoot me a DM on the platform of your choosing. Pick your poison, and we'll connect and get you more information.
Yeah, for anybody interested, all of her information is going to be located below in the comments, so you can just click it and it'll shoot straight to all of her links and site, and you can play around and do all that stuff and get some great knowledge from this beautiful lady right here, because she is outstanding, and I can't wait to be on your show and reciprocate the energy that you've put out today. So I really appreciate it. I'd like to tell you to empower your life's quest. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Okay.